Hello and welcome to Nea Fokea. Nea Fokea is a pleasant village on the northeastern coast of the Kassandra peninsula in Halkidiki. It has wonderful views over the Toronios Gulf, a small harbour, a nice beach, and bars and restaurants overlooking the sea. My name is Daniela and I tell you about the history, mythology or art of the places I visit. On this channel I publish videos in English, Italian and Bulgarian. Link al video in italiano nel commento, link za bulgarski video v komentar. This is the Tower of St. Paul and it is a nice example of Byzantine medieval architecture. The tower was built by the Byzantine Emperor Ioannis Palaiologos around 1407 to protect the local monastery. The local monastery belonged to the St. Paul Monastery of Mount Athos. Most of the old monastery is gone and the small church was built in 1868. Mount Athos is on the Athos Peninsula, the first leg of the Halkidiki Peninsula. From here, what you can see is Sithona, the middle leg. From the position of the tower and the blocks of stone around the base of the tower and the location on the edge of the cliff, I would say that there were additional defensive structures around the tower. The monastery buildings probably shelter behind these defensive walls. The tower elevated entrance is on the sheltered side, so it is probable that the tower was accessed from the monastery complex. Very little remains, so it's not possible to say for sure if access was by stepladder or if there was a wooden bridge, for example, connecting one of the monastery buildings to the tower. The elevated entrance also suggests that the bottom of the tower was used for storage, and it follows that the tower was designed to resist short sieges. There are narrow windows on the upper floors, so the tower was used both as a lookout tower and a dominant place to fight off attackers. However, looking at the layout, the tower would easily fall if the attackers landed in the port and made their way to the back of the monastery, and cutting off the water and food supply to the people inside the tower. It wasn't designed to withstand prolonged sieges. And at the time, the tower was built to protect the monastery from the main risks posed by pirate attacks and incursions by Venetians and Ottomans. In the end, the Ottomans conquered the Halkidiki Peninsula in 1430. The tower was once again the centre of activity during the Greek War of Independence in 1821. It was the headquarters of Emmanuel Papas, the leader of the Macedonian revolutionary forces. The Ottomans set fire to it during the conflict, but the tower mostly survived. But why St. Paul Tower? This is where the history meets the legend. The records of St. Paul the Apostle's second journey to Europe tell us that St. Paul arrived in Kavala in 49 AD. From Kavala, St. Paul travelled to Amphipolis, then to Thessaloniki, and from there on to Athens and Corinth. The commonly accepted route is overland from Amphipolis to Thessaloniki. Well, I've driven on modern roads from Amphipolis to Thessaloniki. And in 49 AD, before nice modern straight roads, it would have been a difficult journey, whereas the sea routes had been established since antiquity. So it is possible that from Amphipolis, Paul travelled to the coast to board a ship bound for Thessaloniki. The legend tells us that St. Paul went to Yerissos on the Athos peninsula to teach Christianity, but the people there refused it and began chasing Paul off. Paul asked for God's help, and God led him to a secret cave where he could hide. And the cave that sheltered the saint is just a few steps away from the tower. This is the sanctuary of St. Paul. There are two half columns by the side of the entrance, which I would say are in the Doric style. A few steps down, and another door opens up into a tunnel. The tunnel terminates in front of a small pool. On the right there is an opening and you enter into a small room. There are votive offerings and icons of the saint, but the construction has many elements in common with ancient Macedonian tombs, like the ground level entrance with the Doric columns, the few steps leading down into a tunnel that takes you inside the hill and ends up into a chamber with a vaulted ceiling. And as I crawled my way out of it, I managed to take a better video of the tunnel construction, which hints at the Macedonian origin of the shrine. So, if we look at the legend of St. Paul again, it is possible that the locals knew about the tomb and they probably used it to worship during the time when Christianity was illegal in the Roman Empire. Why Nea Fokea? This commemorative plaque outside the shrine explains it. The plaque is in honor of Félix Saussure, a French engineer and archaeologist. Fokea was a city in western Turkey. It was founded by Greek colonists around the 9th-10th century BC. Fokea means seals, and there were large colonies of Mediterranean monk seals living on the islands off the coast of the town. June 1914 belongs to one of the dark chapters in the history of the region. Bands of paramilitary proxies for the Ottoman state began a systematic massacre of the town's Greek population. Félix Saussure and his team had taken up residence in the town while on an archaeological expedition nearby. Félix and his companions hid Greek families inside their houses and then helped spread the news of the massacre, and when the news reached Greece sent rescue ships to Fokea. Félix and his team then helped the survivors reach the port where the ships were waiting. Some of the survivors started a new life here, and in 1924 asked for the area to be renamed Nea Fokea, or New Fokea, after their old home. Nowadays, Nea Fokea is a charming little town. When we visited, the atmosphere was more relaxed than in other more touristy areas of the Kassandra peninsula. And from the Africa Beach Bar, we had a lovely view of the harbour, the Gulf, and the majestic tower. And we indulged in a few iced coffees here. When you have a sit-down coffee in Greece, it should come with complimentary water and a biscuit. If it does not, you are not in a good place. And I'm happy to report that the iced cappuccinos were made very well, with good quality coffee, and they came with water and a bicky. And they were served by lovely and welcoming waitresses. Thank you for watching. In my videos I tell you about the history, mythology and art of the places I visit in Europe. If you like this take on travel, please subscribe. On this channel I publish videos in English, Italian and Bulgarian. Please see links at the end for my single language channels. Until next time, thank you for watching, have a lovely day, bye bye!